Hi everyone, my name's Hannah Sakini. I'm the registered dietitian and nutrition educator here at Local Matters. Today you're going to join me in my kitchen and help me prepare one of my all-time favorite snacks, guacamole. Guacamole is a really easy recipe that doesn't require too much knife skills, as well as it doesn't require too many ingredients. And it's kind of a running joke at Local Matters, I am not the best chef in the world, but I am slowly learning and slowly getting tools and tricks in the kitchen to make cooking at home a lot easier, a lot more affordable for me, and just overall a lot more fun. So today we are going to be needing a cutting board, a chef's knife, I have a big chef's knife, as well as a smaller paring knife. You're going to need a bowl, a fork to do some mashing, a spoon to help with the avocados. And for our ingredients today, I have 3 avocados, I have 1 lime, I have 1 Roma tomato, I have a red onion, some fresh cilantro, salt, garlic powder, cumin, and I also have actual garlic, so we'll see which one I decide to use while we're cooking. Sometimes I go with the garlic powder just because it's easier and there's no need for any prep work, but maybe we'll get adventurous and use some actual garlic. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to take our 3 avocados, crack them open, and put them in our mixing bowl. So keys with avocados, you want your avocado to be ripe and ready to go, and how you can tell is if you're pushing on the avocado, it should give a little bit. So you should be able to make a small indent. Now if your thumb goes all the way through, you know that avocado might be a little too ripe, and if it's really hard on the exterior, it might not be ripe enough. So all these are ready to go. So we'll start out with this one. We want to use our classic pinch and wrap with our chef's knife. So we're pinching at the end and wrapping with our other fingers. So we're pinching with our thumb and our first finger and then wrapping with our other 3. Now if the knife is too big, you can do the same, just pull it back. So we're pinching at the top and wrapping with our other 3. I'm gonna go with my large bridge and just slice this avocado all the way around. I am now slicing it vertically all the way around. You should be able to pop it right open. Now look at that color, wow, okay, perfect. So now we are going to take our spoon and we are going to scoop out all that good, delicious avocado. Now, oops, sorry, that might have been a little loud. So there's lots of little tips and tricks of how to get an avocado seed out. You can use a chef's knife, but like I said, I'm not that experienced in the kitchen. So I'm just gonna pop it out with my spoon, just like that. And then we can scoop it out. There we go. 1 avocado done. Now I'm gonna do the next 2. Avocados are really awesome fruit because they contain a lot of healthy fats. So the fats in avocados, look at that. I love seeing that green. The fats in our avocados are called saturated fats, unsaturated fats. Unsaturated fats are fats found from plant foods. So these are the fats found in olive oils, nuts and seeds, things like avocados. And these unsaturated fats actually work and benefit your health. So last avocado. So these unsaturated fats actually work to get rid of some plaque that are building up in your arteries and your veins. It actually helps lower your cholesterol and it gets rid of that bad cholesterol. Now, at Local Matters, we never want to label something good and bad, but there's healthy cholesterol, and then there's a little less healthy cholesterol in our bodies that can affect our health. And unsaturated fats actually increase the good cholesterol and decrease the less healthy cholesterol. So it's really plaque fighting. So we just got our delicious guacamole, and I have avocado all over my hands. So give me 1 second, I'm gonna grab a napkin. I forgot to grab a napkin before I started. Okay, I'm back. This will be a lot easier for cleanup. So the next thing we are going to do is we're gonna cut open our lime. So I like to roll it first, just so that it gets all those juices ready to go. I'm just gonna cut it horizontally. And there we have our lime. The limes add a really good zest to it. It adds acid. And acid is a really important profile when it comes to flavoring our foods. So I'm just gonna juice out half of this lime all the way out. You can add more if you like really limey guacamole. All right, so after I juice that out, once again, using that napkin, I'm just going to mash up all my avocados. Mashing it up, incorporating all that lime juice, that delicious lime juice that I love so much. Now, as far as how much you want to mash it, some people like to have creamier guacamoles. I like a little bit of a chunky guacamole, so I don't mind if there's some chunks of avocados in there. Looking good. Another thing about avocados is that they're green. And we call our green foods our superfoods because they have all the vitamins in it, besides vitamin D, which we get from the sun. And it has vitamin K as well. So that's really important to make sure that we're getting all of our vitamins in through eating lots of different colored vegetables and fruits. But what's really awesome about these green fruits and vegetables is that they contain all the vitamins. So guacamole has all the vitamins in it. Okay, so we mash that up. We put our lime in there. Now we are going to do, now we're gonna dice up our tomato. So like I said, this is a Roma tomato. Don't forget those knife skills, using that bridge, using that pinch and wrap. I'm gonna slice our Roma tomato in half. Now what a lot of people like to do, and I like to do, is I like to get the seeds out. And that's just so our guacamole is not watery. So I'm gonna get the seeds out. No one likes a runny guacamole. The seeds aren't bad, and you can absolutely keep the seeds in there. But like I said, I'm just gonna remove them really quickly with that spoon that I used to get the avocado out as well. Okay, messy hands once again, thank goodness. I went and got that napkin. Okay, so now I'm just gonna flip these over and start dicing them. So I'm cutting them into strips, and this is called julienning, to cut them into thin strips. And then I'm just gonna rotate them and dice them into little square pieces. I like my tomatoes pretty small and my guacamole, because they are not the star. The avocado is definitely the star in this. These are just its sidekicks. All right, just dicing it, protecting all 10 fingers from getting cut. And then I'm gonna put all that, and I'm gonna put my hand on top of my knife. I'm just gonna go over it one last time because, like I said, I like these diced pretty finely. Dice, 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 dice. Okay, so we are gonna add all of those to my mashed avocados, just like so. Alrighty. Once again, getting my hands clean because they're a little messy. All right, the very next ingredient I'm going to add is my red onion. We're going to use half of this red onion because it is quite large, and we might use a little bit less. But I like red onion. I love red onion, and I love to cut onions. After learning this trick from Local Matters, I have been obsessed with cutting onions, and I find any reason to cut onions. And people may think I'm crazy, but there's this fun little trick that dice onions really easy, really quick before the tears can even start. I probably just jinxed myself, and I'm probably gonna cry, but we'll see. So I'll show you guys. The first thing I'm gonna do is cut the one end off of the red onion, and it leaves this top part. This I think this is the root, but the part of the onion that has like all the funny hairy looking things. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the onion straight down the middle, just like that. Now we have our two halves. I'm gonna put one half away, and we're gonna use this half. I'm going to peel this red onion. And something to note, at the stores, never get those onions that are already pre-peeled, that are $1, $2 more expensive than the other unpeeled onion, because A, you're gonna have to unpeel it, that first layer anyways, because everyone's still touching all of them, and B, this way is a lot cheaper, and it takes 10 seconds to unpeel that first layer. So silly to me. So next thing we're gonna do, we are going to follow the lines of this red onion. I don't know if you guys can see, but a red onion has almost lines or kind of like veins or anything like a grid. You're just gonna follow those just down. And you can see I have my claw, right? We call this the claw. We're just gonna follow it down. The one key about this part though, we are not going all the way to that stem. We're not reaching that top of the onion. We're stopping just right before it. Okay, I switch to the bridge just to make sure I'm keeping all my fingers safe. One more cut. Okay, so I just made vertical lines all through it. Next step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my hand flat on my onion, and I'm just gonna create a line straight through it. After I do that, we are good to go, and I will show you how perfectly diced this onion is. Just dicing it down. When I get close to the edge, I flip it, and I just dice it this way. Look, no tears. And look at how perfectly diced these are. I'm kind of making a mess, but they're so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to add these. And I think I did make a little too much, but I was having so much fun. Okay, so I'm going to clear all this to the side. I'll put this in a container. You know, the benefit of getting whole onions is that they're cheaper, and once you know how to cut them, you can store these and save these. So all these extra onions, I guess you can't see with all my spices, all these extra onions I can use later on in the week. I can freeze them and use them, you know, down the line, months down the line. You know, those don't have to go to waste. You can save those and put them into other dishes. All right, so we have our avocado, our lime juice, our tomatoes, our onions. I'm just gonna mix these all up. Mixing it all up. It's looking so good, so colorful. The awesome thing about guacamole is that it's a lot healthier dish. Sorry, a lot healthier dip, I think that's what I was trying to say, than a lot of those other dips that we really love. I mean, I'm a sucker for French onion dips and things like that, but this is a lot healthier and it has a lot more nutrients and a lot less calories in it. So we have mashed that up here. I'll show you what it looks like. We've mashed that all up. Now it's time for the spices. We are gonna use some fresh cilantro. Now how I've stored my cilantro is that I put it in a mason jar, or you can put it in any kind of glass, fill it up with a little bit of water, and then just store this in the fridge. It'll last a lot longer. And what's awesome about herbs, fresh herbs, and spices is that if you're interested in starting to grow things at home, you can always start with these fresh herbs and spices because they're really easy to grow. You can just grow them in your windowsill or in your kitchen right at home. So I have just pulled some cilantro leaves off, and I'm just going to roughly chop the cilantro. Now I know some people don't like cilantro, and that's okay. If you're not a fan of cilantro, you can just pass on it and not use it in your guacamole. But I love cilantro. The thing about cutting cilantro though is you don't want to dice it up too much and cut it up too much, because the more you manipulate it, the more you chop it, it starts to lose its flavor. So the less flavorful it gets. And I want mine super flavorful, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add all this to my guacamole. Here, I'll put that right in front so you guys can see how beautiful that is. Okay. Next thing I'm going to add is some salt. Now, guacamole definitely needs salt, but it doesn't need to be extremely salty, because what do we usually eat guacamole with? Are those tortilla chips. And what are tortilla chips basically covered with, no matter what? Salt. So we can use the salt from the tortilla chips to give us that. Next thing I'm gonna add is some cumin. And I like to add a lot of cumin. And sorry, my hands are just so dirty still. I'm gonna add some cumin to it. There we go. And I am actually gonna opt for my garlic powder instead of my fresh garlic, just because it's easier. And now I'm just gonna mix that all in. I'm getting so excited and so hungry. Wonderful. Alrighty, this is the final product. Oh, it's so beautiful. And I'm going to open up my bag of tortilla chips. Now, when getting tortilla chips, what I recommend is that you always look at the back of the nutrition facts label and look at the ingredients and see how many ingredients are in your tortilla chips. These ones just have 3 ingredients. You have the blue corn, you have the sunflower oil, which it was probably fried in or cooked in, and then it has sea salt. That's it. Super easy, super, no ingredients that I can't physically say. And what's awesome about tortilla chips is that corn is a whole grain. So these are a whole grain. Love that. Okay, so I'm taking my tortilla chip. I'm going to dip it in my guacamole. Let's try it out. I'm gonna double dip, but this is my own guacamole, so that's okay. It's just so good. Yum! So good. So that is our guacamole recipe. I hope you enjoyed. Just one more quick tip. If you don't eat the whole thing in one sitting, which I probably will because I just love guacamole so much, a really good way to store it so that it doesn't brown is flattening it out so that there's no air gaps. and then putting a thin layer of cold water in it. That prevents the oxygen to get to it and start browning the avocado. So putting in that thin layer of water, and then when you pull it back out, just empty out the water or drain the water and then mix it up, and it's the same consistency. It's not gonna be brown and it's gonna be ready to go. So once again, I wanna thank you guys all for tuning in. Please be sure to follow Local Matters on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more updates and more cooking demos. And I hope you guys all have a great day. Bye.